This week's parsha is Parshas Seitzei. Have a speaking about Bar Mitzvah parsha this week. Very packed parsha. I wanted to share with you an interesting idea. It's found in Perek Chav Gimel Pasuk Yud. The pasuk says, "Seitzei machna oivecha." When you may go out in an encampment, an army encampment against your enemies, you have to protect yourself from harm. The way Rashi explains this pasuk, what are you worried about? Because when you go out to war, it's a time of danger. And the Satan is mekatrik b'sas sakana. That the Satan has a special ability to endanger a person. When a person's already in danger, it's a good time for him to prosecute before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and potentially harm a person. And therefore a person needs expert shmirah when he goes out to war. The Ramban and Rabbeinu Bechaye, they give a different explanation of this pasuk. What are we worried about? They talk about the idea that the time of war is a time when sin is very prevalent. Because when nations go out to war, often the army, they eat whatever they want, they steal, they wreak havoc. They're not even afraid to do things, to do immoral behavior to the inhabitants. And what normally would be people have cruelty that overlaps them in times of war against their enemies. And therefore the pasuk is warning, V'nishmarta mikol davara. Because this time of bahala, of excitement, and this time of everything goes, total hefkerus, when an army goes out to war against its enemy, the Torah feels a special need to warn that we have to be careful of shmirah from kol davara. One thing that popped into my mind is just some of the questions that the Jewish army has been sending different rabbanim, the questions about kashrus, going into Arab homes and using the stove, and people, that's the difference. Our army is not violating the populace. Our army is asking questions, and it's a whole different mindset. It's a sign of what we should be, of V'nishmarta mikol davara. And there's this Musar concept that the Torah is presenting of that we have to realize when we're in such a situation of danger, when we're very overwhelmed, when we're very busy, when there's lack of boundaries, that we're much more prone to have it, and we have to be much more careful. The Orchos Sadikim in Shar HaNova, he talks about that it's really under these pressure points when the real truth about people can be discerned. How do you know if somebody's really an anav? Anybody could talk. Talk is cheap. But when a person actually is in difficult situations, chas v'shalom, a person loses their parnasa, a person chas v'shalom loses a family member, and they still talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they still behave and show that strength, that's when it's clear that a person is actually a strong person with a real sense of humility before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that is why the Torah is exhorting us specifically in this time of this pressure that we have to step up to the plate. There's another idea of what the pasuk is warning about. The pasuk continues to talk about that this section of the parsha, that Hashem goes among your machana to save you and to put your enemy before you, and your machana should be kadosh. Vayom machanecha kadosh, famous pasuk. V'yirbecha ervas davar. You shouldn't see an erva before you. So the pasuk is connecting this idea of protecting from davara to erva. The Mesilas Yesharim, right at the very beginning, he is built on a chazal that quotes this pasuk, "V'nishmarta mikol davara shel yavu de toma b'layla." The Ramban and Rabbeinu Bechaye make the point from the Sifri that it's not just erva, it's avodah zara, it's givei arayos, it's vichas damim, kilas Hashem. That's v'nishmarta mikol davara includes all these things. That there are a lot of different things that we could do which would prevent the vayom machanecha kadosh, that would drive the Shechina out of our machana, and thereby it puts us in tremendous, tremendous danger. And whether it's things like arayos and Lashon Hara has this element of, it builds machlokas, it causes, he says that we could have much more trouble between us than we'd ever have from an enemy when we bring machlokas and Lashon Hara among ourselves. So therefore, that's why it's connected to V'haya machanecha kadosh, besides the tznius aspects of the arayos, but just the kedusha of the machane. It's so important that we follow the halachas and follow the ways of the Torah and go on the proper path. Just like to circle back for a minute to this idea of the pressure point of when we're in that tumultuous situation and how we react, and how that's a sign of our true greatness. Especially in this time of Elul is a time when we really need to step up to the plate and things are busy, and we have things going on in our family and our job and everything else, getting ready for Yom Tov. And the Mesilas Yesharim talks about how Paro was a good student of the Satan, and Paro knew one of the biggest tricks is if you keep people busy, they won't have time to contemplate and think about what they need to do to grow and progress as human beings. And that's the trick that Yetzer does. He keeps us too busy to really sit down and think about how do I want to be different in the coming year from the way I was this year? What am I going to do to improve myself before Hashem? What am I going to do to improve my relationship with Hashem, my relationship with myself, my relationship with other people? And it's something we really should try to put headspace on before the Yomim Norah. Baruch Hu help us have strength, achieve greatness, make proper cheshbon and nefesh, and prepare for the Yom Hadin. A good Gebench and a wonderful Shabbos.